Okay, I'll say this.
If people want to give it a go, do you have any tips for how to run it?
I don't know many tables in any game where GMs or players love the shopping episodes.
The metaphor most people mention is the Pony Express. You're familiar?
No.
Okay, so the Pony Express.
Hi, today I'm here with Chris Griffen, who is the writer of the Singularity campaign.
Hi, Chris. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing, Harrison?
Yeah, it's good to sit down and have a chat with you here. We're here to talk about Singularity today.
Terrific. Let's do it.
Can you give me a brief synopsis of what Singularity is about?
Okay, so Singularity is a Traveler campaign in 3 acts. And each act is very distinct from the other. The first features the Travelers as the crew of a luxury liner, the most posh luxury liner in the core, which is a sector in Traveler's charted space setting. And then the second act, I don't want to give any spoilers, but the second act has a pretty hard transition and has the Travelers in the role and bandied about the galaxy or bandied about charted space. Their consciousnesses transferred to other bodies. You still very much are your character, but you also end up transported via the magic of consciousness transfer to other places. And you embark upon a series of adventures, and the outcome of that is very important to the third act, which is they've collected all this information and certain, let's call them artifacts, and they get the decision what to do with that, what to do with all that, and what to do with the power that they've collected.
Where did the inspiration for Singularity come from?
Okay, so I've been a Traveler fan forever, and one of the great things about Traveler is it's been around for so long, and it was very much built on the science fiction of kind of the 40s through the 70s, and it's just a great era of sci-fi. There's so many good authors, and there's Asimov and Piper and Heinlein, so many, and many of them influenced the setting. But since that time, there have been many changes in science fiction. Science fiction is always very topical. It reflects the era in which it was written, and there have been some great writers since then, great stories that have shifted in tone a bit and have different things to say, different technologies to imagine and talk about. Singularity sort of tells a tale that involves some of these more modern sci-fi concepts, and yet maintains respect from Travelers' more golden age science fiction roots as well.
Who is this campaign really for? Who benefits the most from this campaign?
Singularity is for any Traveler player, but it is deep in the lore. It touches on things that have been in Traveler's lore since the beginning, and takes sort of I think an interesting spin on it, and lets you as the Traveler very much take part in these big overarching themes that have been in the game, and then sort of be a part of them. So it's really for anyone, but you can get something extra out of it the deeper you are into the lore.
So sort of a beginner could play it, but if someone had more experience, they might get more out of it.
Absolutely. A beginner could jump into this. If they love sci-fi and space opera, they'll have a good time with it. It's not designed to be, for old time players only. It's for everyone. And but it does have that extra sort of double entendre where you can enjoy these little hidden Easter eggs and things that tap into many years of Traveler.
What's the primary focus of Singularity?
Okay, so the main focus is sort of imagine that it's sort of a genie in the bottle kind of theme. Imagine that this immense power falls into your lap, the power to make huge decisions that affect your entire surroundings, the galaxy. And what do you do with that power? Is it what you want to happen? Will it make things better? Or do you think you can mold it? Can you sort of reap the whirlwind? Can you control events to the ability where things go the way you want them to? And should you, given that power as well?
So quite topical to today then.
Yeah, yeah, it's there's something to be said that it relates to the current era of we have this moment in history right now where we're dealing with artificial intelligence, and it through the theme of conscious intelligence, it explores that, and it is not judgmental. The design of Singularity is to be neutral, to let you play a part in, there's a little bit of that metaphor playing through it, the AI versus CI, but it's not meant to urge you one direction or the other, and it isn't exactly one equals the other either. It's just sort of, it will make you think about those things when you're playing the game, though, when you're participating in this epic story.
What sort of new additions to Traveller did Singularity bring, and of those, is there any you're particularly proud of?
So Singularity brings several things to the table. They're a little different. It explores conscious intelligence, conscious intellect, the idea of a machine that has complete sapience, complete self-awareness, and how that interacts with those of us who are biological, and then crossover between them, right, with cybernetics and transhumanism. Those are aspects as well. It also, on a more mechanical level, it dives in deeply to an aspect of Traveller lore, which is the express boat network. Traveller has a sort of famous age of sail feel. You cannot, there's no faster than light communication. If you want the news to travel from one parsec to another, you got to go there with the news. You carry it. And the Traveller's main communications mechanism in the Third Imperium setting is the express boat network. You've got these little ships that carry massive amounts of data, and they carry the news between the stars. Now, we get into the weeds with that a little bit in this and explain how it works. And I think not only is it a very important part of the campaign, but it can feed your, any other Traveller campaign as well, now that this campaign fleshes it out for you.
So that network, is it kind of, could that be related to like Royal Mail versus email, because email doesn't work in space, essentially?
The metaphor most people mention is the Pony Express. You're familiar?
No.
Okay, so the Pony Express is in the Old West, when someone wanted a message, before telegrams existed, when someone wanted a message to go from the last civilized bastion in the middle of North America, you would ride a horse to the next sort of outpost in the middle of nowhere. And then there, according to the myth or to the reality, there are other riders there that then carry that message out to the next place. It's not faster than light travel. That is the speed with which information travels, because that's the best they had at the time. It's very much the same with the express boat network.
So you can't send data faster than light, but you can send someone who can jump in a drive.
And then they've got these advanced data systems to transfer the information, and so there's that. And then, the third major thing that this adds to it is the sim. You go into sort of virtual reality environments, and the way Singularity has it designed is that it very much can affect you physically. So any time you go in to solve a problem in these advanced data network, computer networks, you have real problems to solve and real things to tackle. And the conceit that it has is that there is a metaphor for something you want to accomplish. If you need to get through someone's defenses, the metaphor could be you got to penetrate a castle wall. If the metaphor is I got to break through with this important message and give it to the emperor, then I have to travel some distance in this metaphorical universe. The thing about Traveller and transhumanism and virtual reality and simulations, Traveller needs to be rooted in the real. So these things are add-ons that you participate in, but it always comes back to the real world. It's the style of Traveller space opera. You got to be faithful to it, which is the actions of people in the objective reality are the most important.
If people want to give it a go, do you have any tips for how to run it?
Yeah, it is, and we both said it's an epic campaign, and we're not lying. It's you could take years running this thing. However, I would run it in an episodic fashion. I did there's a blog post, if you want to see Planet Mongoose, about this, where you do the first act, and then it has sort of a dramatic conclusion. give it a rest for a bit and go do another campaign or some adventures or something, and then come back and then do Act 2, which is also epic and takes time. And the story is wild and very different. And then give that one a rest and then come back and conclude it all. I wouldn't say you give it too long of a break in between them, but that is kind of how I would like to run it. The other thing is each act of the campaign is kind of designed to stand on their own. The first one gives you a detailed description of how to run a luxury liner and has all these encounters and tables and these routes you can run on in core sector. You could almost just make that the campaign and never advance it beyond that. I recommend you advance it because there's a big story waiting for you, but it is very much designed to be the kind of adventure or campaign that I would like to play in, and that is one that keeps changing its theme and has something different to say with each story.
I'm looking forward to get the chance to like have this run for me one day, because
Great, yeah.
I've mentioned in previous videos I'm looking at running Cluster Truck and maybe Infinity Suite, but
Yeah.
those are much shorter. I'd love to like get.
Yeah, I've got a lot of shorter campaigns that are really fun. I've played in several of them. I've refereed some of them. I've refereed Pirates of Dranax. This is that Pirates of Dranax level where it's time consuming.
So when you're sort of going through character creation and building your characters for Singularity, are there any sort of characters that are going to benefit this campaign the most?
I wouldn't say so. Okay, I'll say this. Any type of traveler you want to create for this will work. It does recommend the campaign. I recommend in it that you have 1 or 2 people with steward skill because you start out on this luxury liner and that's so important. However, you can obtain that sort of like a skills package at the start of the campaign as if you were trained in it. So other than that, no. Anything you want to make, a drifter, an ex-soldier, a pirate, a merchant, every type of character works in this campaign.
But with that starts sort of the society and the social aspect of it. It's probably for Act 1 quite important to have someone in the party at least that can handle it.
Yeah, you're going to be if you're going to be interacting with passengers, but it's a business too. It's like many traveler stories, much like a trader campaign or a mercenary campaign. It sort of simulates the business of running this liner, and you're doing it for profit to earn credits. That's one of the fun aspects of Traveler is finding ways to make credits, and this one teaches you and has a lot of rules for how to run a liner, and then all the adventures and misadventures that can happen over the course of your time running that business.
We have the source book that's behind you.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Acts 1 and 2.
Yeah.
There's also the companion. What does that bring, and why should people look into that?
So the companion has more depth for you to add. The central campaign has all the depth you need, but it's got some things in it that you're going to want. Frankly, it is a companion, but you're going to want it because it's got some ships that are really cool that you can add to the story. Some space stations, shows you what Express Boat Network way station is like, and it's got 3 more adventures, 1 for each act. So you could add those in and have even more wild and different adventures.
Yeah. So it's sort of like DLC for TTRPG.
DLC?
Downloadable content that you'd get in like a video.
Yeah.
So I forgot that you don't do video.
Yeah.
So yeah, video games you can, you get the main game and then you get downloadable content.
It
It's
is
like
like
a little
that.
bit of additional,
I get
but it's
that,
great.
yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah, I think you're going to want the companion, and I'm not just it's not a selling point or something. I didn't write it so that it's like, yeah, add this on if you want. I wrote it to be you're going to have fun doing this if you have it.
It's not like required reading,
No.
but it will really enhance your experience.
You can enjoy Singularity without it, but you're going to want it.
Yeah, I love that. Do you have any tips for referees, how to roleplay characters, how to run specific things?
Yeah. Singularity has a lot of different characters, right? Many people and alien, animal encounters, synthetic beings, all kinds of people for your referee to play. So for the referee, just get ready to shift gears and play these people from very different backgrounds. They're criminals, politicians, soldiers of fortune, merchants. They're just many different characters. So I think that's from my experience. As I mentioned, this is when I wrote Singularity, it was I want to write the kind of thing I would love to play in. I think one of the most enjoyable parts of Traveler is meeting and interacting with these characters that could have appeared in a space opera story that I read or watched the movie of or something. So it has a lot of different characters to play. Just get ready to shift gears and be all those different things for your travelers.
Let's generalize it for a second. Do you have any general GM tips? How to referee for Traveler in general, things that might simplify it for newer referees?
So, yeah, I mean, this probably could apply to many games, but Traveler, people sometimes have some trepidation about it, like because there's so much. There's worlds, there's starships, it's a big universe, right, that you're playing in. It's really not. Just focus in on the aspects of story that you want to tell and go with it, and then let the players interact in that environment. Don't spend too much energy on descriptions. Just lay it out there. The Duke of Anther comes into the room and greets you and says hello. Let the players take that and let the theater of mind develop for them. An enormous freighter docks with the starport. We don't need to get into tonnage or what its jump drive is or anything else. Just lay the story out for them, and if they have questions, be ready to answer them. That's it. Just keep the story going is my advice on GMing.
So keep it simple and be prepared to add depth and complexity if it's asked for.
Yeah, to me, the narrative is more important than anything in keeping it flowing. But sometimes that's what the referee likes. You have to also remember your travelers, what they like, your players. The things that are enjoyable at the table, if it's making jokes or taking a moment to, stopping in a high-tech port to buy technology, and they're having fun at it, then by all means, you should facilitate that. But personally, I like to keep it as focused on the narrative as possible so that the story flows and they feel very immersed in it.
I don't know many tables in any game where GMs or players love the shopping episodes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Although then again, trade is a massive rule set in Traveler, and it's a big part of the system. So the shopping episode is built in as a mini game within the game.
It's a form of progression in Traveler, getting better and better tech and trading up for a better ship and that sort of thing. So you want to allow that, but if you can fit it into the narrative, for me that works better rather than let it take away extensive time from it.
Absolutely.
And I guess other things, don't be intimidated by the stats. Like when you go to a world, you've got an array of stats, take a look at them, get a quick idea of what they mean, and then convey that to your players at the table. If you forget something and you change it in the narrative, go with it. That world is now that. There's nothing to say that there's no rules to say you have to adhere to one thing or another. The story is yours to tell as the referee.
Just one sort of final question. This one is a little more salesy.
Okay.
If someone had to pick just one Traveler campaign to play, why should it be Singularity?
If they had one campaign to play, it should be Singularity, because Singularity is several different themes that are common tropes in sci-fi and space opera, things that will feel familiar, that your players will love to immerse themselves in, and yet it shifts gears so strongly that it is not the same thing throughout. So you get basically a trilogy of stories that changes so fully over the course of it that by the time you're done with it, you will have felt as if you've sort of lived through this and made, as as the travelers do, made this story what it is.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Well, thank you, Chris, for your time.
Yeah,
I'll let you get back to writing your current project.
Back to it, yep. There's no rest for the wicked, got to get back to it.
Wonderful chat to you, and I'm going to hopefully get you sat on the sofa again to talk about the next big project or the next small project or whatever comes.
Hey, anytime, you know where I am.
Yep, you sit right behind me. Right, thank you.
All right, thanks, Harrison.